Well, welcome to this first in the new season with the newly rebranded The Rest is Data podcast with me, Scott Sammons, brought to you by Lighthouse IG. In this new revised format, we're going to look at very similar topics to the previous first season, but looking at some things in some slightly different ways and approaching it from its new home in this lovely little podcast studio that I have access to. I know if you're listening in, that won't help you at all, but if you're watching, you'll be able to see some of the magic studio that's here. And upcoming in the next season, this current season of the podcast, we're going to look at some soft skills. We're going to look at some events, because there are some hot events coming up in the data protection and information governance worlds. And as always, we've got a range of speakers, some of whom I'm hoping to get in my little podcast pad here. But first off, I wanted to start the season by talking about setting your own professional goals and writing your own personal development plan. Because I'm going to imagine, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of you will have your company or your organizational annual review plans, progression, the sorts of targets that you're set in order to get your salary increases and the bonuses and that sort of stuff. Or not, if you're in the public sector. And sometimes it reflects development, yes. And there are lots of good examples out there where your annual appraisal, your annual development plan, reflects you developing as a professional. It shows you growing. It's a genuine reflection of what your professional development should be. However, there are also lots of scenarios out there, and there's quite a few people that I come across when I talk about this that don't, where their professional development plan is, what's the word I'm looking for? Not an accurate reflection of what they do and how they do it, and doesn't really reflect progression. You're just ticking the corporate boxes, and that's about it. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that at all, but it doesn't really help you as a professional. So my question to you all would be, have you actually sat down and gone, that really cheesy, where do you want to be in 5 years' time? Where do you want to be in 10 years' time? Where do you want to be in 50 years' time? It's a cheesy interview question. I know, I can hear you rolling your eyes through the airwaves. I really can. But actually, it's also a really good question for getting you to think about where it is you want to go. What do you want to do? Now, this applies to any profession, whether it's the data protection and information governance profession or any at all. We're not unique in that regard. But where we are a profession and where we have certain elements of practical knowledge, legal knowledge, practical application, experience, opportunity, etc., then it helps to plan, I find. So my starting question is, where do you see yourself? Where do you want to go? Building from that, how are you going to get there? So, for example, let's say you want to reach for the stars and you want to be a head of department or the assigned data protection officer or a senior. Like, for example, one of my goals before I went freelance was I always wanted to go down the CIRO route. At some point, being a CIRO, senior enough to lead, strategize, but also challenge risk and play devil's advocate. That obviously hasn't happened. But it did make me think, well, what are the skills of a CIRO? If you were to picture the most ideal senior information risk owner, SIRO, for those of you who don't know, what are their skills? What behaviours do they have? What experiences do they have? What makes a good CIRO, data protection officer, DPO, FOI officer, records manager, data manager, whatever? What does good look like? If you were to say, that person, I want to be an effective data protection officer, for example, what does that look like to you specifically? Yeah, you can get input from other people, and I encourage you to do so. So look around for examples of good practice. But for you, what does a good DPO look like? Break that down into its parts. What experiences do they have? What skills do they have? Yes, qualifications, but this isn't a discussion about qualifications. We'll talk about that another time. But what qualifications do they have? What approaches do they have? What's their mindset? What soft skills do they have? There are a number of skills matrices out there and role profiles and various other things to help you. So I would definitely recommend Googling them because there are, or other search engines, there are loads out there. So definitely have a look around and build a bit of a shopping list of things you think, yes, this makes a good role. And then say, right, well, where are you now? In all honesty, in these particular skills, where are you now? Like, I'll freely admit, as someone that's currently going through the process to get an ADHD diagnosis and is very much struggles with prioritization and procrastination, I know that procrastination is a weakness. I know there's a problem. I put things in place to deal with it. And as a DPO, procrastinating is not good. That's going to hinder you. So I put things in place and I manage my time and manage me to get better at that. I know that it's something that I'm weak at. Similarly, there are areas of data protection that I know I am weak at. So like international transfers, for example. I get them. I don't do them very often. So when I do them, I have to remind myself of things. And I've kind of accepted that that's okay. A medium, okay-ish level of knowledge in that area is fine because I'm not doing it every day. But if I was in a bank and doing it, yeah, I'd probably need a better level of skill. So see what I mean? You've got to work out, what sort of level do I want to be? What sort of sector do I want to be in? And is that something right now, am I any good at? What do I need to get better at? Break it down into its parts. So if you think about, let's take a practical example. So if we take a records manager as an example, I know we're dancing about a bit, but I know there's a wide range of people that listen. So I want to give lots of examples. But if we take a records manager as an example, one of the things they have to do, or may well need to do if it hasn't been done already, is to implement an RM program and actually set up a series of controls, whether that's in SharePoint or other systems. They've got to do a piece of work and work with the business to come up with appropriate controls on how records are captured, stored, managed. That requires, yes, understanding of records management. Yep. All the core elements, all the core controls, understanding of SharePoint. Yep. You could easily roll off a list of that relatively easily. Just look at your job. What have you done in the last 3 weeks? So that'll probably give you a good indication of the sort of technical areas and expertise you need. But what about the softer stuff? So in order to implement that program, you've got to be a good communicator. What are your communication skills like? You've got to be a good negotiator. What are your negotiation skills like? You've got to be able to win people over. We did a podcast episode on stakeholder management, and we are going to come back to that because it got a lot of discussion. A lot of people talked to me about it. Some people, they claim they're good at it because they're very good at managing the stakeholders that they're friendly with and they have a relationship with. But what about the ones that you don't? What about your blockers? How good are you at talking to them, winning them over? What's the book? How to Win Friends and Influence People. How good are you at that? It's a skill. So take, yes, the technical skills and requirements, and you can go to, you could ask anyone in the data protection GISCMAIL list or the data protection network or NADPO or even just Google or search engine, any sort of data protection officer role profile, and you get a list of technical skills and abilities. Don't just take the first one. Go search for a load of them and come up with a list. That's the easy part. Then break them down into their parts. In order to do international transfers, what does that look like? In order to effectively assess a DPIA, what does that look like? in order to investigate a data breach. What does that look like? What skills do you need? Patience being an obvious one. So what are your patience skills like? Are you patient in a crisis? And then secondly, once you've got that list, and it can be as exhaustive or as non-exhaustive as you like, because again, it's yours. It's about where you want to be. If you want to enjoy the role, if you want to excel at the role, where do you want to be? And what sort of skills do you want to be good at that role? It's then okay, where are you now for each of those skills? Where do you want to be? So if I want to be as patient as a cat, how might I and where might I learn patience? Is it something that I can teach myself and learn and read things online? Do a little bit of emotional awareness to go when I'm overreacting and calm myself and whatever. I'm using myself in the generic term, by the way. I used to be very dramatic, but not so much anymore. Benefit of it. So where do you want to be and how are you going to get there? Some of those things will be experience. The more you do, the more you gain that skill or the more you gain that ability. So that patience comes with time, practice, control. Whereas other knowledge points could be formal courses, qualifications, those sorts of things, right the way through to, is it something that you could get internally? So does your employer have access to training, materials, internal courses, those sorts of things where you could get those opportunities? Even consider, I know everyone thinks that a mentor is something formal and maybe something a little, mentors aren't for me. I would challenge that notion and say, actually, they could well be. And it doesn't have to be anything formal, because there are bodies like the IRMS, various other organisations that do offer formal mentoring programs. But there are also the informal mentors. There's someone that you just respect, someone that you know. They don't have to be in the profession. They could be someone that you know that's got the patience of a saint. And if patience is that thing you want to learn or want to gain, then talk to them. Ask them. How do they do it? What process do they go through? Do they have a breathing thing they do? All those sorts of things. What is it? What knowledge could you learn from others? So pull it apart into its parts, almost like you would a shopping list. These are all the things that I want. These are all the things I want to do. And again, be selfish. Don't go, oh, I'll never get the money for that, or I'll never get opportunities for that. No. If you catch yourself going, oh, no, I wouldn't get the money for that, then give yourself a little tap on the wrist and go, Scott said, no. Put it on your list. Don't worry about money for the time being. This is just a list of everything. If you could wave a magic wand and get the skills, qualifications, experience that you want, what would you get? Once you've done that, then you can go into the realm of, right, what's going to cost money? What's going to take time? What's going to require resources from other people, etc. That way, then you can then be realistic about it. Like, for example, I would love to do my LLM in information rights. I would love to do it. That would make me very, very happy. As someone that didn't go to university, I went straight into work. I would love that experience and that knowledge and that formalizing, that's the word, of years of knowledge and experience. I would love to do it. However, being self-employed and so having limited time and limited money means that isn't going to happen anytime soon. So what can I do instead is my question. It's on the list. It's very much on the little Trello board that I've got of professional development. It's not on a Trello board anymore. I've moved it to Teams. It's on a little Teams planner board. And it's just like little Post-it notes, if you've ever used Planner, little Post-it notes of a link to the course, how much it costs. And then I break the buckets up into years. What's something I'm going to do this year? What's something I'm going to do next year? What's for the next 5 years, 10 years? Something that is on the wish list. If I get to it and I get the opportunity, I'll do it. That sort of thing. I think that works quite well. And that works well for me And I do set myself a target of every year I will do something. So, for example, last year I did my mental health first aider qualification because that's something that I've wanted to do for a while. And I started my level 3 qualification in teaching and learning. I need to finish that this year on a list of things to do. And hopefully, I should finish that in the early part of 2026. But I've also said this year, all right, one opportunity has presented itself to do an AI governance course. So I'm doing that. But a lot of it was opportunity. Some of it came up. It was an offer, and I went, oh, actually, that's on my list. That'll grab it while I can. And that's why you should have that list of things that you think you may never get to, but at some point, opportunity may well present itself. That could be in the form of a random, oh, there's a sale going on and it's now cheaper. Oh, you've got extra training budget and you need to spend it. Oh, someone's dropped out. Do you want to do it? Or even if you've just been money away towards it and then suddenly you've got enough money to do it. That. Always, always, always have a shopping list of things you want to do. Yes, put money on them, but don't automatically discount them. That way then when an opportunity presents itself, you can grab it brilliantly. So start with, as in your 12-point plan, start with what do you want to be? What do you want to do? Research the skills, practical, soft skills, all of it, as to what you think a good role that you want to do looks like. Talk to others, which again is another benefit of getting an informal or formal mentor. Find out what they think is good as well. And then plan. Where am I right now? Just like you would any gap analysis, where am I right now with these requirements that I have to get to this role or do this thing? Are some of those my requirements? Are they from my organisation? And how can I get them? Are they something I can get internally? Is this something that's just an exposure thing? So the more I do it, the more I'll get it. Or is this something where I have to do a dedicated course, qualification, whatever, a structured thing, whatever that thing might be? Have a plan. From that, you can then start to ask. So, for example, you could be ask your employer for funding. You don't ask, you don't get. Or you then start be on the lookout for opportunities, events that you can go to where you go, oh, actually, I want to get better at talking to people. Okay, networking is good for that, especially for events, so things like Privacy Space, NADPO, RMS, ARA, the DPAS conference. There's too many to mention, but a lot of them, especially Privacy Space, because I've been several times, and I would highly, highly recommend it for networking. Very, very good for that. Even if you're not naturally a networker, it's very relaxed and very, not forced, but you will get opportunities to talk to people, and you can brush off or dust off your social skills. So I would highly, highly recommend. So even little things like that, where it's look, I just want to get better at networking. I want to be able to talk to business areas and just have the courage to just go up to someone and say, hello, how can I help you? You get that from, it's going to sound weird, exposure. But that sort of, the more you are social, the more you put yourself in social situations, the more that's going to happen. Obviously, it's no golden bullet, but, it's the more you do it, the more easier it gets. And suddenly it becomes less of a thing. If that makes sense. So start with what you want. Start with, or then go to, what have you got? It's a benchmark. What are the gaps? And then where are you going to get them from? Is it something you can do yourself? Is it something you can do with your organisation? Is it something you can do with others? And I would strongly encourage you, if you don't ask, you don't get, to ask. Constantly ask. Even if you get told no once, fine. Next year is next year. It's a new year. It's a new financial budget. It's a new line manager. It's a new initiative, whatever. Time changes, circumstances change. So always, always, always ask, but have a plan. That way, then when they say yes, or life says yes, you can jump on it then and there. I'm a massive proponent of professional development. And if anyone does want to see the little planner that I've got, I'm not saying this is what you should aim for, so don't take mine as gospel and go, right, I'm just going to copy Scott's. Build your own, very much build your own. But if you do want to see how I've structured mine and how I police it and how I do second guess some of it and go, actually, do you know what? No, I don't think I'm going to do that. I'll take that off my list. So I'm constantly reviewing it, but how that helps me plan and helps me look to the future as to what I want to do, where I want to go, things I don't want to do and avoid. Because I'll be perfectly honest, contracts bore me to tears. So the thought of doing a contract management qualification, would probably be very useful. But am I going to rush to go out and do it? No, I'm not. So list everything, but then prioritise them like you would anything else. But yeah, if you do want to have a look at mine, then do feel free to get in touch, and I'll quite happily share that with you. Not a problem. So, professional development. Make sure it starts and ends with your plan. Even if you've got one for your business or your business gives you one for your annual development, make sure you've got one for you and where you want to go. Whether that's with the same organisation or with a different organisation, doesn't matter. One that's for you. But I would actively suggest that you have a look at the sum. Do your research, join a professional body. I know I'm biased, but join a professional body because that will massively help you out with that. And you can have a professional development plan. And that's everything we've got for you this week. As always, like, share and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you at the next session.